Recently, I will never, ever, ever get tired of listening to those fingers roll across the keyboard of that organ. The spirit that I feel when you play. God bless you. And hello out there, everybody. God is moving by his spirit in all the earth. And wonderful things are happening. People are being healed through the Gentile. Revelation is just rolling out. And the plan for getting everything together to one day soon, God help us, to get everything published is like the ark moving up the road. It's on the way. It can't be too much longer. Blessed be the name of God. So today, we have much, much to share. And we'll get right into the Word because there is so much to share. But just before we do, let's cover a couple things on questions presented by JJ, John. And thank you for these questions, John. The ones I want to cover today tie into the teaching. This was question number 8. Does Lucifer have the power to be in more than one place at a time? Yes, he does. Does Lucifer live in Azam or one of the moons? He's in the spirit world. I shared this last week. He deals with using familiar spirits and takes control of bodies by his connection with the familiar spirit thing. Okay. Question 11. Should we pray for Lucifer to repent and return to I am? No. Question 12. What happens to the angels who are co-owned with Lucifer? They become punctuated points in the matter of the universe that is finally rolled into a scroll. I will be covering that subject today, Lord willing, if I have enough time. Those are the ones that we wanted to accentuate today, all that we have time for. But let's not forget that this is part 10 of the interpretation of the lost book of the War of the Gods. And we must not forget this meeting that is going on, that is bringing forth all of this incredulous information. Moses at the bush meeting with the angel who represents Yahweh. And how do we know that? Well, we know that because it comes from the tetragrammaton word, and so when you see it in most of your Bibles, the name of the Lord is all in capital letters. And when it's in capital letters, it means that that particular name of the Lord being used there was from the tetragrammaton, the 4 letters. Now, it's very interesting to note that there are 2 letters of the alphabet of the Hebrew that is not translatable in English. There is no common ground of transliteration that can be used to translate those letters. So whenever they appear in some word, it really does take a criterion, or what shall we say, even a different way. It really takes a mystery revelation. And so you can be a perfect Hebrew scholar, but if you don't have a Holy Ghost revelation, then you can be thrown for a loop. Okay, so this meeting is going on. Moses is experiencing this same kind of connection that when he was meeting with the angels and Yahweh on the mount of the Zion, or we'll call it the mount where the 10 words were received. And there's a couple different names for that. We've already taught this. You should have this down. Sinai, of course, was one of the names, Mount Sinai. So, this revelation to Moses is the beginning of his being anointed and chosen and being given a divine escort for this ministry that he is to be involved in. Okay, now then we talked about Lucifer and the fifth generation. We shared with you from the book of Revelations and chapter 9, and the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. This was the fifth generation day representation, and it's just incredible how the Bible is so fulfilling. Now, people have to come into an understanding of how real this thing about Lucifer is. If you don't get this message, then you go through life without realizing the meaning of Ephesians 6:12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. When you are going through tribulation, when you feel the forces of darkness pressing against you, and when many times you just think that it's confrontational things that are happening in the physical realm, maybe caused by other people, maybe caused by problems within yourself, what you have to realize is a memorization of this verse and its importance. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood. And Paul, in a higher way than even any of the disciples, as far as it being expressed, understood that meaning. He understood we do not wrestle against flesh and blood. He understood that we are wrestling against the principalities and power, and there is a war out there going on. And these principalities, from which the word prince, many times the prince of this, the prince of that, that is a sort of an abbreviated way of saying principality. And they are powers and they are rulers of the darkness of this world. And later, when Lucifer takes a body, he's taken different bodies. The Bible talks about the different deaths of the physical that he will experience, meaning different bodies. But this one particular body becomes the supreme body of all bodies, and he's able to maintain a lot of his concepts from his spirit, and not be blocked by the flesh, and he is called the Cosmocrator, Cosmokrator. I prefer that spelling, you might look up some of the for instance, Strong's Greek dictionary concordance, number 2888. It explains the Cosmocrator being a world ruler. Now, this is who the Bible says, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And that is where the wrestling takes place. That is where the real true war is. And if you forget that, then you for sure will not be aware of some very, very important scriptures. And I'll tell you what, there are things written in the Bible that a lot of people are not, they're just not aware of. For instance, how many people are really aware of Revelations chapter 13 and verse 8? And all that dwell upon the earth, A-L-L, all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, meaning Lucifer-Satan, the beast, and all that. And you can find that by going back to verse 4. And they worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him. We have this war thing, like it mentions in Ephesians, that I just read to you. And there was given to him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemings, and power was given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months, which represents the times, and a half times, which represents the generation ages. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints. Now get a hang of this. You won't like it. But get a hang of it. It was given to him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds, tongues, and nations, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundations of the world. So, if you don't understand that what this is all about that's happening on earth is something that happened to the Lamb before the foundations of the earth. If you don't understand that what is going on here is a distinction and a separation between all of the people who live on earth that do not have their names written in the book of the life of the Lamb, who was slain from the foundations of the world, and those who do have their names written. So the whole revelation about the who we are of those people whose names were written before the foundations of this earth. If you don't have that revelation, if you don't have that application, then you are guaranteed to be overcome by the power of Satan and his beast. Because it says all in verse 8 that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundations of the world. And that is why this teaching that the Holy Manifest gives is so incredibly important. Before I was married, I've been married 51 years. And of course dated the lady who became my wife before then. Before that time, I had received the revelation of the fallen angels and who they were. And when I went on my honeymoon after we were married, the thing that I did on our honeymoon was really get into the revelation of the scriptures of the fallen angels with my now wife, who I've been married to for 51 years plus. Okay, just wanting you to get onto that and to see the important thing. Now, just to get this out of the way so you have it, there's going to be a great white throne judgment. We find that in chapter 20 of Revelations. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, and whose face the earth and the heavens fled away, and there was found no place. There was found no place. So, we see in this revelation, there is something called a white throne judgment. And that really is important to understand in the light of the revelation of the things I will be sharing with you today, the Lord's willing. Because there is so much to cover, and this may take 2 or 3 times to really get it all down to where you have heard it. But we know that that these things are so real, and we know that this white throne judgment is given a great connection to in chapter 7 of Daniel, verse 9. And I beheld till the thrones were cast down. Thrones were cast down. And the ancient of the days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was like a fiery flame, his wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and all books were opened. And we see that during that time, that in verse 13, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days. And they brought him before him. And there was given him, the Son of Man, of course, who is also the Son of God, a dominion and glory and a kingdom, and all the people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. And so there has been a plan going way, 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 way back in time, going way back before the foundation of this earth, in which these things have been a plan. So when we make this purport, we are not making something that is foolish. We are not making something that is inaccurate and disinformation. We are not making something that is just a summation of wishful thinking. We are actually presenting the deep infold of the Bible, and that's why we accentuate the word manifest, because manifest means to bring to light. And that means that, like, if the light is not focused on something, you can read across it without really getting the message. But when the light focuses and manifests the word, punctuates the word, magnifies the word, then you suddenly are able to see what heretofore was invisible. And that is the teaching of the invisible Bible and all those kind of things that we give. So I'm laying that all out there. Now, we want to just, quickly look at a few scriptures that first talk about the subject of Lucifer-Satan that we're talking about. For instance, let's just start in the book of Job, chapter 1. And that's just the book just before Psalms. And let's just go to Job chapter 1 and verse 6. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. Capital O, capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D. That's the tetragrammaton, the four letters, which basically they say is not known. And Satan came also among them. And the Lord, capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D, said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, Doth Job fear God for naught? Hast thou not made a hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth thine hand, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto him, Behold, all that he hath is in thy power. Only upon himself put not forth thy hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. Now, this has been going on. They say that Job is the oldest book in the Bible. This has been going on for eons of time. This thing of the Satan. We see that there's a conversation that occurs between Yahweh and Satan. That they talk, that they discuss things, that they talk about people, that they, Jesus inquired, Where have you been? Where are you coming from? And Satan, Lucifer-Satan, is still of the nature that his judgment has not come on him yet. So he can still appear at the meetings of the sons of God. And we can't miss those kind of notations. We can't miss those kinds of bits of important punctuated information. They are just essential to getting the whole story that we need to know. And then we find that incredulous revelation in Job 38, which covers so many different stories, of the whole thing, about the fall. In Job 38, the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, this is verse 1, Who is this that darkeneth counsel by the words of knowledge? Gird up now thy loins like a man, I will demand of thee. Gird up now thy loins like a man, I will demand of thee, and answer thou me. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if thou hast understanding. you've got to get this down. You have to understand this is something that God wants his people to know and to understand. And if you have understanding of the Word of God, if you have understanding by the Holy Spirit of what the message for today is and what the message for the past, the present, and the future is, it's about this whole thing that all of those whose names are written in the Lamb's Book of Life are the only ones that will not end up worshiping Lucifer, Satan. All of the rest of the people on the whole planet Earth, past, present, and future, are going to be worshiping Lucifer, Satan, and the beast. Only those who have come into this revelation, and their names are written there, and they are making a claim of that. It is that claim that is going to protect you from the powers and the forces and the dominion of Lucifer, Satan. Because otherwise, he has been given the right in Revelation to take control over all of these people, even people who are operating under the name of being saints. So hear me today. This message is absolutely essential. Okay, so going on in this Job 38, where were you when I laid the foundations? Verse 6, where were you when I fastened the cornerstone? Verse 7, important. When the morning stars, where were you when the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy? This is during the creation of the galaxy and the solar system, and this earth, so it is so important. It says in 38 verse 21, "Thou knowest it because thou wast then born." Now, question marks do not exist. None of that kind of punctuation exists in the Hebrew, in the original text. So that's just put in there by the scholars that could not understand the meaning of this. So they made it a question. But it isn't a question. And in several of the other version Bibles, it says, "You know because you were born then." So in the Bible itself, it tells us, as it says here, and because the number of your days, and this isn't 24-hour days, this is talking about generation days, it's telling you how ancient that you are. And that's why one day you'll be dealing with the Ancient of Days, when the thrones are cast down. And so you must not lose this. You must not forget this. You must keep it in, to your knowledge, because believe me, it is part of the most wonderful and incredulous salvation subject that God has given us to set his people free. Do not fail to get in and to learn these manifest teachings, because believe me, they are for your salvation. They are all part of the wonderful, wonderful things that God has made, for his people to have a way out of the darkness. So we've got to move on, but in this aspect here, there are many other revelations that are mentioned and noted, and one of the interesting things that it says, in verse 31, "Can you bind the sweet influences of the Pleiades, or loose the bands of Orion? Can thou bring forth Mazzaroth in his season, or guide guide Arcturus with his sons?" Basically, it is mentioning three different locations that represent the three different kinds of angels: the Ophanim, the Seraphim, and the Cherubim that came to this galaxy, this solarplex. Okay, so it is all here, and it's challenging us. Can you do these things? Can you bind these sweet influences? Yes, you can. 33, "Do you know the ordinances of the heaven? Can you set the dominion thereof in the earth?" Yes, you can. These things of the past, that which was, that which is to come, is who the Lord says he is. "I am the Alpha and the Omega. I am that which was, I am that which is, I am that which is to come." And we are to know him and be a part of him and take him into our life. And we are to transassimilate him into our life. And by doing that, we become a part of that which was, of that which is, and that which is to be. And by becoming a part of that which is, and which was, and is to be, we are then able to know the ordinances described in Job 38:33 of the heaven, and to set the dominion thereof in the earth. And that is the process of what's going on with this holy manifest revelation. We are setting the dominion of this reality of that which was and that which is to come. And as I've read to you many times in the book of Revelations, when John was given the declaration of how he was to write this revelation, in chapter 1, verse 8, I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, saith the Lord, which is and which was and which is to come. He is explaining this to John, and in verse 11, he says, I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last. What thou seest, write in a book, and send it unto the seven churches. So what he was talking about was this revelation of the first and the last, that which was, that which is to come. And when it says in Job, can you set that which is past, can you set the things of the heavens, the foundations, can you set that in the dominion of the earth? Can you make it so people can understand it? Can you make people understand it so that they can have a recognition and a connection to the fact that their name is written down in the Lamb's Book of Life? And there have been and there will be people whose names are not written down in the Lamb's Book of Life because they do not have a soul as you have a soul. I'm not talking body soul, I'm talking spirit soul. Okay, I know we've touched on those things before, but getting into this teaching, we have to get into it. Now, just to cover some important things that is said in the Bible about Lucifer, Satan, turn with me to Isaiah. And let's just look at Isaiah 14:12, because this is a pivotal scripture, and it's not anything that we can miss. Verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? Now we know that there has been some people come up and say, that Lucifer name was an incorrect name, it's improperly translated. You are, those people who are saying that are 100% translationally incorrect. I don't have the time to do a translational proof that Lucifer is the right name, because the whole revelation that it brings in verse 12, O Lucifer, son of the morning, is a really, really important revelation, because it ties in to the job that Lucifer had, that it explains in another scripture in Ezekiel about him being, the anointed cherub that covereth. And so it is very important that it tells this thing about, O Lucifer, son of the morning, how didst thou, how art thou cut down to the ground, which didst the weak of the nations? And thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend to heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I'll ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. And they that see thee and narrowly look upon thee shall consider thee and say, is this the man? Now this is when he takes the body and of the cosmocrator, I gave you the reference to that in the start of this teaching. And so it's very, very important how this all comes about and the meanings of this. Then let's quickly turn to Ezekiel 28. I'm moving real fast on this because I want to get into the reading. But we've got to lay the foundation, even though we've covered it before. We have to have a continuity of the word. So, turn to Lucifer 28, and let's just read what it says here. Now, we've explained that when it talks about in 28, Son of Man, say unto the prince of Tyrus. that when it's talking about the prince of Tyrus, the word Tyrus actually means rock. And stones and rocks are symbols that we have to consider and not forget that those stones and rocks are symbols that have been used, and they're used all the way through the Bible. They're used for the Urim and Thummim. They're used for the foundations of Jerusalem. They're used to describe Jesus Christ as the rock of ages. They're used in the Old Testament to describe that there was another rock. This other rock, this great power, was the force of Satan, and so he was another rock of ages, and there was the rock of ages who was Christ. So we understand that, and we've got it all down, and we are going to be so caught up with this word as I am able to get into it and bring it all together. And we will get into this very shortly. Perhaps I said the book of Lucifer. What we're talking about when we say the book of Lucifer is the things that Lucifer has written in his putting out his idea and concepts. Because just as there is a book of the Lord, there's a book of Lucifer, so but I'm not just sure because I don't quite remember how I did use that. But anyway, in the book of Ezekiel, not referring that to the book of Lucifer, there is a reference, of course, very specifically important to the whole thing about this revelation of God and of the connection of Lucifer on the planet to his purpose against God, Jesus Christ. Okay, so Son of Man, second verse of Ezekiel 28, Son of Man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, that was Ezekiel, was the Son of Man, thus saith the Lord, because thine heart is lifted up, thou hast said, I am a God, I sit in the seat of God in the midst of the seas, thou art a man, and not a God, though thou set thy heart as the heart of God. Now we see that this person was setting himself to be something that he really wasn't. Well, why was that? That's because he was possessed with and had a familiar spirit to Lucifer, Satan. And Satan was using him because Tyrus, meaning rock, is also the symbolic name of Satan, Lucifer. And so just like there's the book of God, there's the book of Satan. Just like there's the rock of God, there's there's the rock of Satan. And we have to begin to see these opposite parts, the negative and the various different calibration that is set up to bring all these things into the various ordinances. So we just want to understand that here, that in the 28th verse of a 28th chapter of Ezekiel, we're not calling that the book of Satan, but we're saying that and what I meant to say is that it incorporates the aspect of what makes the book of Satan, because it is a disposition and a deposit of revelation, both about the things of God and the things of Satan. And we are really going to open that up here, after our break, which will be taken in about a minute or two. And we're going to really see down here in verse 12, take up a lamentation against the king of Tyrus, and say unto him, thou sealest up the sum, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was thy covering. You see these things of the stones: the sardius, the topaz, the diamond, the beryl, the onyx and jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, the carbuncle and gold. These, we have done the teaching, represent the co-ownings that he had. Verse 14, thou art the anointed cherub that covereth. I've set thee so. Now we see that this Tyrus is both on the one side, this person, and on the other side, he is by the familiar spirit represented the anointed cherub singular for cherubim plural, and thou wast upon the holy mountain. And we will get into that revelation of the holy mountain and how that there was, so to speak, the book of Satan, the plan of Satan on the holy mountain, and there is a book of God, the plan of God on the holy mountain, and there was this war between the two, just like the east and the west garden. And so we're going to take a break right now, and Janet Lee's going to play on the organ, and then we'll be back in 5 minutes or so. God bless you. Again, thank you, Janet Lee. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And here we go again, people. We're going to roll right on. And so there is this equation. There is this differentiation. There is this scale of balance on one side, differentiating from the scale and balance on the other side. There are these forces, divisions of darkness, divisions of light. One belonging to convolution, the other belonging to involution. Going along with the continuum of concept of the day as an involution and the night as a convolution, and so the convolution turns away from the light. The involution goes inward toward the light, and so one is the day and one is the dark, and one is the son of the morning, and that's what's being S-O-N, son of the morning. But then we see a time in which Lucifer, which the name means light and can mean son of morning, has a job in which he has been given as the anointed cherub, and he is involved during the creation time, and really gets involved during the fifth day of creation. But we got to move, because we've talked about a lot of this. We see that in chapter 12 that there is a war in heaven. Verse 7, and there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels. So we see Lucifer being co-owned, as we described these stones that represented that co-owning in Ezekiel, the 28th chapter. We see that every co-owned angel had to be an angel that had arisen in the host of angels, and was equal to an archangel. But because there already was an archangel, then the only resolution there was, if you were going to enter into archangelship, would be to co-own with the present archangel, which in that case, was Lucifer, and he was in a particular status of being the second in command archangel. So they that had reached that level of second in command archangel, they co-owned with Lucifer. Every one of them then was equal in power and mind and authority and knowledge of an archangel. So you're talking a tremendous, powerful force. Okay, so we see this is Bible, throughout the Bible. And then in Revelations 11:15, the kingdoms of this world have become the kingdoms of the Lord. It is not till late in the Bible, late in the descriptions, that the kingdom of this world becomes the kingdoms of the Lord. So we see that obviously that if they were not until that time the kingdoms of the Lord, that prior to that they were obviously the kingdoms of Lucifer-Satan. And there is so much scripture. It is so powerful for God's people to be aware of these things. Now, there are so many things that we could get into, so many things we could abide on. But first, I want to read the story of Adam. It is so beautiful. And then I'm going to get right into this thing of where we get into the thing of the judgment. Okay, this is from a book in the Holy Manifest called Who Are the Mortals? The story of Adam. In the course of time, now this is from the Holy Manifest. In the course of time, it came to be that the Spirit of Yahweh prepared to spirit a body house that could be prepared as a progenitor of body houses for the fallen angels. Meanwhile, the cherubim searched for such a body house. Finally, among the Hedikel Euphrates people were found a male and female whose names were Anar, A-N-A-R, and Dorsa, D-O-R-S-A. Anar and Dorsa were highly intelligent people of their time, possessing knowledge and talents unusual for their day. Now understand, these are part of the four river people that was the river that went into Eden, and came out on the other side and split into four rivers. But at one time it was just one river. That's why in the book of Revelations, when it talks about the river Euphrates and the four angels, we see that the four rivers that split off out of Eden become one river again. And Anar and Dorsa were highly intelligent people of their time, possessing knowledge and talents unusual for their day. Then the captain of the host of the cherubim said, "There are none of the humans worthy to birth so great a spirit as Yaviel's. Nevertheless, there must be a body provided for Un, even if from the slowed atoms of the dust of what these people are." It came to pass that the cherubim mentally caressed the genetics of Anor and Dorsa to advance their potential offspring. Then, putting a spirit of peace and love upon them, they loving each other, became man and wife. Thus they were inspired to have a child. So it was, Dorsa became pregnant. As the embryo child advanced or experienced trans-advancing, the child kicked roughly in the womb of Dorsa, and she said, "What kind of child is this to come forth from me?" Behold, the child was filled with the Holy Spirit in the mother's womb, but she knew it not. At the same time, sightings of things unknown to the Hiddekel were happening. And Anar and Dorsa were fearful of the many strange sightings of lights, for they understood not of flying zoots and zits. Then Anar said, What is this that is to happen? I feared the child to be born as a god." It came to pass in the course of time that Dorsa gave birth to the child. And it was so that after Anar had cut the navel cord connecting to herself, but did not cut the navel cord from the child or tie it off, that they looked upon the child to see its sex. And behold, it appeared androgynous, meaning neither male nor female. Then Anor and Dorsa were afraid for their lives, because the Euphrates people had a tradition that any parents birthing defective or unusual children should be killed along with the child. Then Anar said, "I will kill the child and hide his body." But Dorsa, hoping for a miracle, said, "No, do not kill the child, but let a wild beast kill it." Then Anor took the child unwashed in its own blood, its navel cord not tied, and Un cast the child into a field far from the camp, and so it was the child landed safely upon the soft grasses of earth. You can find this in the 16th chapter of Ezekiel. Immediately the watching angels came to behold the new child, and Un stank with the smell of afterbirth and was stained with blood. Then Gabriel pitied the child with great compassion, and Gabriel said, "In you is the great spirit of Yaviel of the Ophanims. You have a body and part of Anar, and a body and part of Dorsa, a little body of common red earth. Therefore your name shall be called Adam." When the angels had cleaned and fed the child, they rejoiced with many praises. Be it known that the cherubim angels are a good watcher, guardians for the spirits of humankind. And so it was the angels raised Adam to adulthood and breathed into him a spirit soul, and communed with Un daily, instructing Un. And when Adam was fully grown, they took Adam and placed Un in the garden east of Eden. In all the lands of the earth there was not a land as majestic as the land of Eden. There it was that the powers of the principalities of the angels were in alignment with the energies of nature and the emergent generations of the creations. And there was a special harmony between the plants, which were the lower creations, and the animals, which were a higher creation. And the animals breathed the breath given by the plants, and the plants breathed the breath given by the animals, each with thankfulness. Nowhere in the whole earth were the cycles of life more evident and better understood than in the land of Eden. Eden. And there it was that death was understood to lead to life, and life was understood to be a wheel. And the creatures were inspired by the beauty of the foliage and the flowers and the plants, and the grandeur of the trees and the smell of the forest. Indeed, the land of Eden was arrayed in magnificent splendor, and there was not any place on earth with the same likeness as the land of Eden. It came to pass in the course of time that the eastern regions of the valley of the mountains of Eden, that great numbers of angels gathered to sanctify a holy portion of the land. Then Gabriel said, "Let there never be a time when there shall fail to be a sacred spot on earth, holy and dedicated to the Almighty I Am." And so it was that a garden of paradise was made in East Eden, and the angels charged the garden with magnetic shields of polarized energies, so that a shroud of scarlet, blue, and purple light towered over the region. And the heavens were opened, and the crystal city called Salem descended unto the earth, even upon a great mountain in the Garden of Eden. And the shape of the crystal was as two pyramids joined together at the base to base. For even so, this mansion of the angels of the spaceship was called a flying dome. Now remember, this was written like 50 years ago, are given in Revelation like 50 years ago or more, plus, over 50 years ago, when I received the first revelation of the fallen angels and all that. I had received a lot of this, but I had not received it in the word for word writ until a little later time. Anyway. The heavens were opened, and the crystal city called Salem descended unto the earth on a great mountain in the Garden of Eden. And this whole city that called Salem that descended, it goes on to say was called a flying dome, D-O-M-E. Then one part of the dome, becoming the lower Pura, P-U-R-A, settled into the rock of the mountain, and one part of the dome, becoming the upper Pura, set upon the surface of the ground. And the dome was lighted by day and by night by inner energies, and it was so that the light went out through the prisms of the crystals, creating a tapestry of many colors, shining forth and hearing in constant suspension as great limbs of a tree. And the glory of God was upon the mountain, and it was holy, and the base of the upper Pura set foursquare upon the earth. And every part of the crystal Pura had duplicate faces and planes of each other part. And from its inner source rays of light sprayed forth, forming a ceiling dome that simulated from tree limbs and back to the dome form. So it was that the cherub Elohim angels planted the dome of pure light on the mountain in the midst of the garden. And the dome of light was the tree of life, to show that the angels that fell into matter, the way to regenerations. And Adam loved the Garden of Eden. Now, what it's really saying here is the dome of light was a way to the tree of life, to show the angels that fell into matter the way to regeneration. And I'm going to just make a note here so we don't leave that out when we start translating this into the publication, because I just feel so excited, at all that is going, on here, and the spirit of reading this just really gets me stirred up. Okay. Adam loved the Garden of Eden, for Un was intrigued and fascinated by every aspect. And the angels taught Adam to cultivate the soil, and taught him the knowledge of the trees and the plants. Therefore Adam increased in wisdom and knowledge. Adam began to ask the angels questions concerning the dome, and concerning Un's life. For Adam remembered not that Un was Javiel. This is the state of all angel spirits that take positions in physical bodies. And so it was with Adam. Un's memory of past senses were in a suspended state, Consequently, the angels selected their answers to Adam carefully. However, as Adam stood before the crystal pura, the angels instructed him day by day. On a certain day, when Adam came to be ministered into the crystal purim, the dome of pura lattice lights before the cherubim angels, then okay, let me read that again. On a certain day when Adam came to be ministered unto in the crystal pura, which is the dome of lattice lights before the cherubim angels, then the cherubim angels rejoiced in the advances of Adam. However, Satan also came to observe the captain of the angels' host and ask from where do you come? Let me do this again. However, after Satan appears and comes to observe, the captain of the angels, the good angels of the host, said, from where do you come? This is sort of remind you of the Job thing. And Satan answered, from searching the height, the width, and the depth of the earth. Do you not know that I shall set up my kingdom on the twin mountains of this garden? Then said the captain of hosts, we know it is in your heart to envy Yahweh. Do not this thing, for why should your oracle be left in the Tartaru? Then Satan, standing upon the holy mountain of the crystal pura, scanned every aspect of the garden and of the holy mountain. And Satan mind-walked up and down through the prisms of the crystals and the atoms of the stones of fire. Then Satan, with great force of mind, began to close the circuits of light energies of the crystal dome. But as rapidly as Satan mentalized out those energies, the good angels mentalized their auras to phototransmit light through every prism. That's prism, P-R-I-S-M. Then Satan, looking upon Adam, laughed and said, and by this she, you will populate the world? Then Satan said, begone, Satan. So it was, Satan left the presence of the holy mountain upon the highest mountain of the Garden West. We're talking here the Mount of Hermon, because right down below that and all that was all part of the Garden of Eden, which was in Lebanon, which we have given scriptures to support that. Begin to build an immense image, the image that was of a great dragon, and before the image was a trio stone that burned night and day. Wow. Incredible. And Satan gave power to the image to speak and to think, for a photo transition of demon spirits, angels of Satan, lived in the image of the dragon. And the eyes of the dragon were red, and the rays of the dragon red, and orange light beamed forth from them. The dragon was designed so that whosoever looked steadily into his eyes was cast into a spell of enchanted trance. Now Satan therefore built the dragon like a tower upon a very high mountain, so that all who looked upon it would be awed by its size and beauty. Okay, I'm going to have to stop there. This beautiful part where this thing happens with the birth of Eve and the rest of that. But we'll finish reading that next week, because I promised that I was going to get into the Holy Manifest on this thing about the judgment of Lucifer. And this is in the book of A Time to Plant, which is within the Holy Manifester, the Holy Manifest book. So there are many books inside the one book. Every book is considered a chapter, although it's a full book. Okay, overview as presented by Prince Michael and the Seraphim judges. This is they that presented it. It doesn't mean that all of the judges are only seraphim. The Bible speaks about the 7 spirits of God, and these 7 spirits of God represent the leader angels of the plural angels that overcame all of the 7 universes before this universe we are presently in, and they are to be, involved in the judges as part of the judges on that day of the white throne judgment. But this writ was written by Michael and his seraphim judges. Allegations and charges against the following: Lucifer, co-archangel of the cherubim, and all the legions of the tens of thousands, and all the hosts of the thousands of the millions, and all the wheels of the millions of the co-owned, and of any involved ophanim. Okay, just a minute here, make a note. All right. About a certain time during the courses of our mission, after having arrived at the galaxy known as the Lake of Smokes, we seraphim set up our prospective headquarters in the constellation of Orion, while the cherubim set up their headquarters in the realms of the Pleiades, and the Ophanim set up their headquarters in the realms of Arcturus. Arcturus being in the not the Arcturus that most people think of in a different what shall I say, not galaxy, but in a different constellation. This is talking about the constellation that is the one that Satan wrapped his tail around, and it was called the Father's house. So we will get more into that, but it's called the constellation of the Little Dipper. Okay, after setting up the galaxy kingdoms and orbiting our planetomes in each of our respective areas, we proceeded with duties as decreed by the signage of the Holy Commission. Now this Holy Commission is where the seven spirits of God get involved. The seraphim as judges, the cherubim as watchers, and the ophanims as creators. This is talking about the assignment of these three groups of angels for creation and what their position was. The seraphim as judges, the cherubim as watchers, and the ophanims as creators. I must not fail to mention the precision and the magnificent acceleration by which Yaviel and the Ophanim spirited their creations. All proceeded with articulate perfection, and would seem that changing even one finite particle of substance could not improve such grand designing. However, such a thought did occur to Lucifer, co-archangel under the command of Un's Lord Gabriel the cherubim. Indeed, it was Lucifer's suggestion that Un be assigned as mediating archangel of the Ophanim to assist Dominius and the Ophanim during the creation cycles, at which time Yaviel and 144 captains of the host were absent from the wheels to spirit creations. Considering Lucifer's high rank and considering the guardianship role of the cherubim as watchers, Gabriel agreed to confer upon Lucifer Un's requested role, a decision to which I also agreed. It was shortly, this referring to Michael, no doubt. It was shortly after that confirmation that serious transmission problems began to occur between the mind creator Ophanim and the photo translator Ophim. It was at that time Lucifer expressed Un's intention to move the base of the mind creators to realms of higher accelerations for, as unexpressed it, unimpeded transmission abilities. At that time, Dominius rebelled against Lucifer's suggestion. I must say that by such time the whole of the galaxy was in an uproar of decisions. Consequently, Yaviel left the creation in abeyance and returned with 144 captains of the host. At that time, the split between Dominius and Lucifer was of an extensive nature. I must admit with much sorrow that the angels of Dominius fought with the angels of Lucifer. Were it not for Gabriel and Un's legions, speedy intervention, who would dare mention the results? The following accounts are the proclamations of my judgment, which I, Michael, and select seraphim render in the course of our duties as judges. Judgment of Lucifer. This is like a legal writ. Lucifer corrupted the signals of the mind creators by in integrating deviated creation signals to Dominius for transmission to Yaviel and the 144 captains. In the conclusion of the judges that the corrupted signals were a result of Lucifer's intentions from the beginning of Un's assignment to betray and degrade the leadership of Yaviel, the captains of the host and Dominius also, in order to claim leadership of the Ophanims and aspiring to the highest possible status, thereby conquer and control this galaxy. We find exclusive defaults of Lucifer to the following laws. Creative law. Number 1. Creature or angel shall not have the right to divine itself or esteem itself above its destiny. Inasmuch, that was law 1, inasmuch that Lucifer, ranking as a cherubim, co-archangel, knew that advances of rank are not assigned until the white throne judgment, but nevertheless attempted to secure a self-advanced position, we find Lucifer in default of creation law 1. Law 6. The angel shall not take power to possess or control the creations except for creative purposes or by permission of the Holy Commission, inasmuch that Lucifer by deceit and force sought to interject singularly Un's own creation ideas by the introduction of the colossal beast that he created. This action became, talking about the dinosaurs, an attempt to control creation and violate creation law 6. Law 12. The angels shall not war with the creations or with one another, except it can be shown as a judgment, as a vital act to preserve the endangered course of destiny. Inasmuch that the weight of evidence reveals that turmoil was configured and initiated by Lucifer, the preponderance of guilt and blame for infractioning creation law 12 must rest upon Lucifer. Holy laws of the universal covenant. Law 10. You shall not attempt to alter the vibration of the soundtron. To do so is resolute death. It is also the opinion of the judges that an infraction may exist on Law 10 of the Universal Code, Covenant Code, as to whether not manipulating the creative signals constitutes an attempt to alter the soundtron. This is a very technical and serious decision which we have decided to defer. Law 22 of the Universal Covenant. You shall not replicate your image beyond the number of transitions you are capable by refraction to recall each image, for the lingering of even one image can divide the aurosol signal. It is our opinion that the judges that Lucifer may have broken Law 22 of the Universal Covenant Code, inasmuch that Lucifer's first figure remains, as does all our figures, by aurosol in the first domain. Lucifer's second figure as co-angel of the cherubim, Un's third figure as guardian of to the Ophanims, Un's fourth figure as legal replacement of Yaviel, and to mention, and not to mention, there was an additional number of figures used during the war. This is then being given as a charge against him. Okay, continues. Condemnation and sentencing of Lucifer. I, Michael, and my kindred judges do find Lucifer guilty of all said allegations, and charge that Lucifer, in order to appease Un's vaulting pride, coveted the leadership of Yaviel, and therefore contrived deceitful means by which to depose Yaviel and certain of the leadership, empowering himself in their stead. Therefore, we, seraphim judges, by the eternal edicts of the holy laws, decree that Lucifer's rank of co-archangel be reduced to the lowest rank of the angels, and that Lucifer be given the time of the life of a red star to show Un's repentance by exploits and honor. Pleadings of Dominius and the 144 Ophanum creators. Inasmuch as Dominius and the 144 Ophanum creators have pleaded guilty and have asked for no contest of case Only a brief statement of the offenses and a rendering of judgment will be made. Charges against Dominius and the 144,000 Ophan creators. Herein are the renderings of the following decrees of judgment for the heretofore mentioned trespasses. Furthermore, we find Dominius and the 144,000 captains of the legions of all the host and all of the wheels of the Ophanim guilty of default of the following law, Yaviel being the only exception, where we found Yaviel to be innocent of any charges, crime, or sin. Creation Law 12. This is the law that the Ophanim of the 144,000 and Dominius are said to have broken, or being charged with having broken. The angels shall not war with the creations or with one another, except it can be shown at judgment as a vital act to preserve the endangered course of destiny. The angels, as mentioned, are found guilty of taking actions of war before consent of orders. I, Michael, and my judges decree that said angels be given time to repent, and that their commands be held in abeyance until such a time as acceptable to Yaviel. The pleadings of all other Ophan participators, inasmuch as the whole of the Ophan participators have pleaded guilty and have also asked for no contest of case, only a brief statement of offenses and a rendering judgment will be made. Condemnation and sentencing of all other Ophanim participators. Charges against all Ophanim participators. The other Ophanim participators engaged in Lucifer's suggested schemes without checking their validity or authorization. Let's read that again. The other Ophanim participators engaged in Lucifer's suggested schemes without checking their validity and authorization. I, Michael, and my kindred judges decree that said angel participators by their frivolous acts of folly are found guilty of committing acts of war in breach of the holy wars, and accordingly must be disposed of their creative duties and replaced by cherubim until purification by repentance. Lucifer rejects judgment and makes appeal. It came to be that immediately after the sentencing of Lucifer by Michael and the seraph judges, that Lucifer rejected the judge's decision and posted an appeal to the Holy Commission of the White Throne. Fall of the angels. Okay. The heavens were filled with sadness. Yaviel wept. Lucifer, having rejected Un's judgment, next proceeded to convince the Ophanim to follow Un to the constellation of the dragon. Then Lucifer and his Ophanim set up war camps in the constellation of the dragon, along with Lucifer's co-owned angels. Behold the legions. Just a minute, I have to make a note here. All right. Okay. Behold the legions of the cherubim. Each, even Gabriel was Un's with and Un's sentries. Behold the legions of the cherubim. Even Angel and Un's sentries rushed against Lucifer to war with Un and the Ophanims. But Michael stopped them and said, "It is not pleasing to I am that you should war against your own second in command, inasmuch as you have anointed Un as a covering angel, and I and my seraphims have executed judgment against Lucifer and Un's followers." Now Yaviel, Dominius, and 144 captains of some of the Ophanims waited in the realms of Arcturus for the execution of judgment, and prayed for the mercies of I am. Michael and Un's angels fought against Lucifer, the anointed cherub, and the Ophanims, and prevailed against them. Then were Lucifer and the angels cast down from the constellation of the dragon, and Lucifer the head dragon was cast down, and Un's lofty propositions of mind were wounded. According to the judgment of the Seraphim's law, some fallen angels became demons, other fallen angels became humans. It came to pass that Lucifer and the angels were given time to repent, but Lucifer and many of the Ophanims would not. Then Michael stripped Lucifer of Un's title and changed Un's name to Satan. And the angels that would not repent, Lucifer also stripped of their titles and changed their names from Ophanim to demons. But the angels that committed folly and repented were told they must go through the burnings and be purged, and then changed their names to Teraphim. And so it was. The angels knew that they must go to the creation and be purged by many cycles of burning before they could be restored to their estate as Ophanims. That you may be wise and shine as the stars of heaven, it is for you to know why Lucifer, who was once Satan, a perfect cherubim angel and a archangel to Gabriel, continues to resist the forces of the seraphim and the cherubim angels. To understand, you must know that there are universal laws and codes that govern the actions of angels, principalities, and creations. It is by Satan's interpretation of these laws that Satan has chosen to challenge the authority and the judgment of Michael. Satan the lawyer. Satan is a powerful lawyer of the universal laws of God's photo transitions in the Soundtron. Therefore, there is a constant controversy between the forces of Satan and the forces of Gabriel, Michael, and Christ the Yaviel for the minds of humankind. Satan ceases not to debate Un's rights as an angel of prior higher rank, and to challenge and test the judgments of the seraphim, the decisions of the cherubim, and the true character of the teraphim. Michael, in accordance with the laws that govern divine powers and principalities, has granted certain liberties to Satan and his angels, whereby they can challenge and test the cherubim and the teraphim within the extent of that provision. Be it known that all the Ophanims, which include the aura souls of humankind, and all the angels that became demons under Lucifer, as well as the guardian and judge angels, being the cherubim and the seraphim, shall stand before the great white throne judgment to be rewarded for their good deeds and good considerations, or to be rewarded for their evil deeds and evil considerations. By the holy manifest, let your eyes behold, and let your ears hear decrees and challenges of Satan, and the degrees of the judgment of Michael. By these things it is given to you to know that there is a divine theocracy and a divine commitment to natural and spiritual order of the universe. Now, next week, we're going to get into the legal statements of Lucifer the Satan and his appeal to the Holy Commission. Keep in mind that though certain judgments have been made, those judgments are not finalized as a permanent judgment until the white throne judgment occurs. And so those are only temporary judgments, and they have limits. For instance, we found last week, as I shared with you, that the prison that Lucifer was in for the 1,000 generations was his own prison, his own agreement to make a compromise as they are dealing with this whole issue of the judgment that is rendered but has not yet been verified by the white throne judgment. And therefore, because it has not yet been rendered as a final thing by the white throne judgment, that means there are various openings of consent, openings of reasoning that have to be given to Lucifer. Even though he's charged, it's not finalized. And that's why it says that, he, after 1,000 generations, he had to be released. That was because that was all part of the agreement for which he agreed to hold back from certain kinds of actions against the people and the temptations for this certain period of time, and that didn't mean all temptations and all actions, but certain kinds of actions, like for instance against those who were the children of God that would have been marked with a seal and identified in their foreheads, so that Lucifer would know these people are sealed. Okay, I have agreed to leave them alone, and things along that line. So we will be getting into this last, legal statement of Lucifer. It is an incredible, incredible thing. We will also then finish reading the story of Adam, and that will be sensational. If we can possibly have time, we will also get into this revelation of the temple, and how that the temple really has in it, some of the story of many of these things that we are talking about. We will also try to get into the thing about Jesus Christ, star angel, and how that this term angel has been used from the beginning of time, and well-known people like the scholar and the Doctor of Divinity, C.I. Schofield, who is a Baptist scholar, but an exceptional scholar, no doubt, and how that he had to admit and had to finally come to the realization that the different times in the Old Testament that certain angels were described and represented, that beyond a shadow of a doubt that those angels represented Jesus Christ in an angelic form. And we want to touch on that a little bit if we have the time. It will be a sensational next teaching, number 11. And we think that this will probably go and then also to number 12, in which we will sort of bring some general closings to this book of the wars, interpretation of the book of the wars, and a summation. We think we can get that all done by the end of chapter 12. Wow. So in the meanwhile, dear friends, dear followers, dear listeners, may the holy God of heaven smile upon you, shine upon you. May his face shine upon you. And may there come forth from that shining a healing to your mind, your spirit, and your bodies. God loves you. May God's healing move upon you now by his Spirit. We love you. God bless you. Till next time.